before we start, David O'Sullivan said I must please send you all of his love.
Oh, please send him back all of my love as well.
He said to me,
legend.
I have a weird question. I was like, what's up? He's like, is he really such a nice guy, or was he just putting it on? And then I said, no, he's a darling of a man. He's a darling. Those are my words.
Hang on, what did he say? Is he really what?
I said, is he really that nice, or was he just kind of putting it on? You know what I mean? Like, is he, you know, when somebody's suspiciously lovely? Then I was like, yeah, that's Darren. That's Darren. Suspiciously lovely. Suspiciously.
And you know what's hard? Do you know what's hard about it? Is that when you are on breakfast,
as we both are.
Yeah. You got to kind of be hard sometimes, and it's not in my nature.
Oof.
You got to kind of draw lines.
I leave it to David because we have a signal, which is quite cliche, but the signal is like, you know, when you have a minister spokesperson that's just going in circles, then I just give him the signal, and then we see some harsh hardness. But he's a big fan, and he said I must please send his love.
Oh, tell him I'm a fan as well. It's like, listen, how does your show work? Because I don't get to listen to you because we're on at the same time.
We're on at the same time, but also I'm only in Gauteng and Kaya.
I'm only KZN.
There's 3 chairs, and it works. But Jesse, we are kind of 70% talk, 30% music. So. So we've got David kind of is the lead on the current affairs stuff. I'm the lead on the lifestyle stuff, and Tabiso is there just grounding the boys at all times.
Otherwise, it becomes a boys' talk show. Otherwise, you guys just fluctuate between Liverpool and New Zealand. That's it.
Basically, that's exactly what happens. Are we ready? Because I haven't even put my Zambak on yet.
I think we're rolling it. Actually, I don't. You know why?
Yeah, you can put your makeup on and your Zambak. It's fine.
No, but you can keep it in. I mean, I don't mind. I love Zambak.
Just on that whole David thing, we massive fans of that oak. Can we just start off by saying that as well? Love David.
No, he's a legend.
O'Sullivan, he's a boss. No, he's a boss.
No, he's a machine. He's a machine.
No, when he won
the
radio award in the same year that I was.
Before
I was like, I don't mind losing to David. I really, really don't mind losing to David.
You know, just like we don't mind losing to you. It's that other brow we don't like losing to.
So this is what everyone's doing now, huh?
Yes, pivoting.
This is called a pivot, huh?
Yes.
Pivot. But we're different. We're different. Like all the other comics, they, between... smoky student rays and boardrooms and corporates, and then Odd Festival, their careers came to like an abrupt end, 23rd of March. But you and I have been all these other things.
I've been telling them, because, I'm not like you. I didn't just keep all the secrets of success to myself. I've been trying to share the polls.
What are you talking about? Hang on a second. You're not going to throw out stuff like that.
You had that whole, I will lead by example, but if you can't read, don't expect me to unpack this thing step by step. I'm not going to separate the Smarties into blue, yellow. No, I'm not doing that.
Diversify.
And I've always preached that especially in South Africa, and I always said crazy things that got comics angry, like what industry? When people would say the comedy industry, I would say what industry? And if you exist in a pool or a pond as small as ours, and it's not only it's small and shallow, you know what I mean? You've got to use comedy as the vehicle to do as many things as you can. And that's what I've always kind of tried to say to the guys is find other things, because we don't get paid on stage, find other ways to get paid. So I agree. I'm feeling very, very blessed, and it has been easier for us to kind of pivot because we were already diversifying is the right way to articulate that.
It's so funny. In the previous crises, like the 2008, during the brain drain of, I think it was,
my business died because of 2008, by the way. That was my
my first. So you know what I'm talking about, right? And for as long as I've been performing, I have never done one thing. I came into the world of performance art, doing all the things because you have to do. There's no way in South Africa you can't do. I've done everything except dance, and I tried to get into dance, but they wouldn't let me in.
You and I also don't enjoy poverty. Let's be honest. There's also the fact that poverty doesn't suit us. I'm always like a fat guy with a dry lip. Nobody wants to see that.
Plus, I had for like almost 2 decades, I had a very expensive habit. So I had to supplement that.
Yes, you did. Yeah. Wow.
And now I have a child, which is even more expensive.
Yeah. Well, the one kind of, is probably an...
You can't do both. You know what I mean? These people that do both, I don't know.
There's some of us that do none of the above. I'm that box. None of the above. I'm that box.
Yeah. So like, like I left tech, and then I did this little radio drama in Afrikaans for Seatbelt, but at the same time I was doing voice work, and then I ventured into the stand-up stages by doing physical comedy with Brendan and the Houseboys for about 3 years. Then got into emceeing, but always kept the voice work and always kept the ad work and always kept, I kept on, I mean, here I am. I'm working the whole week. I've got gigs the entire week, plus I've got 2 corporates on the weekend, but there's a casting at 3:00 at Moon Lee's. So you go. You just go.
Make it work. Just make it work.
That, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys that go like, I'm a comic and I'm not an actor, or I'm only a comic and I'm not an MC, or I don't do bar mitzvahs or whatever. No, work is work. You do the work.
Those are the guys that understand those hashtags and stars needed for a please call me. I don't know how to do that thing. I've never done a please call me. They're also the guys that understand how to get money from an e-wallet. I don't know how to get money from an e-wallet. If you send me an e-wallet, I'm not going to draw that box. You're wasting my time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know why I got a spot here as well. This is not working for me, this angle. It's called Rona. I got Rona here.
Yeah, I don't even want to take it off, brother. Look at this.
Yeah. I'm also lucky in that. How's this for a luck, eh? It's amazing. It's like in desperate times you learn stuff, right? So I normally go to the hairdresser, because I got to do the look. So I have an appointment that is set for me every 3 weeks, maximum 4 weeks. I go and
I love your before and after pictures. I've seen them.
Exactly. See, that's my thing. And then I was like, then I'm going week 6, week 7, week 8, and I'm like, I don't have a plan B in this department. We did everything else. I'm stocked up on rice and beans and 2-minute noodles. I did not have a plan B for grooming.
Toilet paper for days, but no way to cut my hair.
And then I saw a corporate gift lying around in the garage because I'm doing this whole minimalist trip. So I'm trying to get rid of stuff. And I remember I actually have like literally the premium of grooming wall. You know, it's WHAL wall.
Yeah. I got one as well. It's the bomb,
right? That's the
Mercedes Benz, my friend.
Exactly. I was going to go with the Rolls Royce, but you downgrade.
I would have expected you to go with the Jaguar. That's what I would have. Clearly, your commitments are strong.
It's the Jag.
It's your head in the game. Gotta have your head in the game.
I take this to the missus and I go, "Can you do this?" She's like, "I don't know. Let me see." She watches a YouTube video and she goes, "Yeah, I could do this." And I go, 10 minutes later, it's done. And then we opened up a can of worms because she's like, hang on a second, maybe you can do my roots. So she goes and speaks to somebody and gets like the genuine, and I've got to do the whole with the comb in the hair and pull over and the roots. And I nailed it.
That's so great. Of course.
Like I nailed it.
Of course you did.
like I can show you pics.
If any comedian was going to nail the roots, it was going to be you. I feel like you are in the top 3 in terms of pedants about their hair.
Okay, I know this is black and white, but it's a root shot, right? That is a photo, and that you can't even really see.
Do you know how I know that you did a good job? It's because your screen is so bright, I would have been able to see the roots only. The roots would have been the only thing I would have been able to see. Now you killed it. Right? Yeah, you are marriage material. From all. You are marriage material.
Don't say the M word. No. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. We're doing so well. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
I saw those pictures of love. What is the Macbeth saying? You are in blood stepped too far to go back. I saw those pictures. Good luck.
Yeah, but
Let's move on.
we committed. There's no need to bring any other paperwork into this commitment.
Let's move on.
I mean? Okay,
Let's move on.
What is this new normal that everyone's talking about? Say best case scenario. We're sort of on the downward slope, beginning towards the end of September, October. That means most of us have gone, most businesses have just gone belly up. It's certainly within the entertainment and eventing side. And the hotels and the tourism industry, a whole bunch of, and then the knock-on effects, the people that supply all of those people. It's devastating what we're going through as a country, as a continent, as a globe. There's no two ways about it. We can't even
the worst
compare
thing
this
in the
to
last 100 years.
Exactly.
It's compared to 1918. That's what you're comparing it to.
Yes, exactly. And so everyone said, and then I heard Tedros, I can never remember his surname, but the spokesperson or the CEO of the World Health Organization on the news this morning saying that we will never get back to pre-COVID-19.
No, it's gone.
We need to banish the idea because that period of life is gone.
It's gone.
So what is this?
It took me a long time to be able to say that. So
what is the new? What can we look forward to? What's the new? Like, are there no more stand-up comedy clubs? No theaters? No big wedding?
I'm a car guy. I'm a car guy. So what happens is, they have these big trade shows, and then everybody comes and shows off their future models. And then the future model never actually looks like I'm a car guy and I can't remember that word now, but like the prototype.
Yes.
So for me, we are not even at prototype yet. I think that we are if this was a basketball game, in the first quarter of the major impact, and only after the game, I think, will we have sight. So the first thing for me, what the new normal is, and especially as a comedian, is forgetting about the gratification that came from the old thing, because we no longer get to do the old thing. The thing we're doing now, in terms of whether it's stand up online or whatever, whether it's a podcast like the one we're doing now, is a different thing. And I think that a lot of us, and I found, particularly with my first couple of online gigs, I felt demoralized and awkward and terrible afterwards, because I was searching for the same gratifying feeling that stand-up gives us, where this is a different thing. And if this is a different thing, we now need to start expecting different things instead of waiting for that satisfaction that stand-up gave us. So for me, the first thing about the new normal is to forget about what your expectations were from whatever you were doing, particularly if you are in a field that was as dramatically affected by what we are. The second thing is to realize that I just believe that it's only over when I say it's over. And that is when I give up. So when I give up, it's over. But until I give up, it's not over. And I have to believe that, and it's a cliched saying that everything's going to be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. So because I believe that I'm going to be okay, 2008, I mentioned 2008, and that's when you mentioned it earlier, 2008 is when my first business started collapsing, finally, burned to ashes in 2010.
What business was this?
So I ran an insurance brokerage. I owned an insurance brokerage, and we were shooting the stars out. 2008 came. First thing you learn in insurance is people would rather pay their DSTV than the insurance premiums, because keeping the kids happy in the short term is a priority. So the business crashes and burns. Then when I look back, and I'm still, in lockdown, I actually paid off one of the liquidated accounts. I kind of settled that, and it felt really good to do it. And my wife often says to me, like, yes, man, that's so unfair. Like, don't you hate that had to happen to you? And I go, if my business didn't fail, I would not have found stand-up comedy, and I would not be living the life that I am now.
Sure.
And if that is the cost for what I have now, then what a pleasure. So then I've had to make peace with the fact that I believe that everything is helping me. And if I approach all things with that attitude, then even my worst day means that I'm going through this in preparation for whatever. I'm learning lessons for whatever. So instead of pining about what we've lost, there is so much opportunity out there right now. Because if you were moving and working hard before, so somebody asked me, how do you survive? Just before the pandemic, they were like, how do you survive a recession? And then they were like, how do you survive a pandemic? And I'm like, the answer is actually the same. you survive a recession if your business had momentum coming in. So if you were working hard when the sun was shining, when the rain comes, that momentum will carry you through the rain. And I believe the same like a pandemic. So for me, visually, the pandemic is like, you know, those motivational speaker bras make you run over the hot coals. Like we've all seen it on the movies. I don't know, have you ever ran? You ran over the hot coals?
Yeah, we did. We had a corporate down on the South Coast, and they made it, not made us, but volunteered to do that. I was like, I'll do that.
So if you've done it, you know the secret to running over the coals is don't stop. You're only going to get burnt if you stop moving. And for me, this new normal means you've got to keep moving until you kind of step into a realm that you are excited about, a realm that works for you, a realm that starts giving you the same type of satisfaction that whatever you were doing pre-COVID or BC, I call it, before Corona, what that was giving you. So I found stand-up comedy, not because I was looking for stand-up comedy, but because my world had ended. But instead of giving up, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do corporate anymore. Let me go try this entertainment thing. Let me go and audition for things. Let me go and try and be an actor or presenter. That was what I thought I was going to do. I met somebody at an acting job that said to me, you're funny, go and try stand-up comedy. I would never have found stand-up comedy if I gave up there. If I just stopped moving, I would have died. So the first part of the new normal is we got to keep it moving. The second part, stop expecting what we had before and start identifying new opportunities. So the new normal for all of us is going to be different. I don't think anybody can peg it right now. It's far too early. But
so there's nothing on the horizon that fills you with dread or fear. I mean, you don't have any visions about what if another H1N1 comes on top of this pandemic, and what if at the same time the poles shift, or there's a solar flare that knocks out our technology, and you don't have any vision about the worst scenes of The Walking Dead or
we all do. No, we all do. I mean, I'm not a madman, of course. I wake up anxious. I suffer from major anxiety every now and then. But it's you know, my mom has the most wonderful saying. She just went, my boy, God is spring cleaning. That's all he's doing. It's natural selection, she said. And I said, how can you say that? And she said, we are animals. We forget just because we have
you
intelligence.
Need to tell your mom, you can't have both. You can't have God and natural selection. Tell mom she's got to pick one.
Well, it's you tell my mom that, my friend. I'm not calling her with that news. I'll give her your number. I'll give you a number and you can have that conversation.
You can have that conversation with her.
Good luck. I'm not even in the room that time. You're gonna get schooled.
All right. So insert deity is spring cleaning. Yeah.
Yes. So she goes, we forget that because we are conscious and because we are intelligent, we forget that we're just animals. And the law of the jungle is natural selection. The old, the weak, those that are vulnerable, that's what happens in the herd. The lion doesn't attack the healthy wildebeest. He waits for the lazy one at the back. You know what I mean? So then I find myself in stress because my wife has asthma. So if you ask, am I anxious? Of course. I'm anxious that because I got to leave, because I still go into the studio, and because I got to go to the studio, what if I bring it home? You know what I mean? So I'm anxious about those things, but I can't allow myself to be defeated. I had the best piece of advice from an Uber driver. And I said, because I jumped in an Uber.
I get a lot of good advice from them. Yeah.
No, those bras, they know the world, those guys. They know the world. And I jumped in the car and I was like, look, guy, are you not paranoid? Because I'm paranoid being in your car and you in this car the whole day. The whole day. And the brother just looked at me and he said, you know, my man, it's very simple. I'm not going to die before I die. I'm going to die once. If I stress now, that means I'm dying. And then when I die, I must die again.
And then you die twice.
Once. So
that's
to answer all your questions, of course I'm panicked. But the second I lower my flag, the second I give up, the second I allow this thing to win, the second I start smoking no-name brand cigarettes, then I'm like, I've let this.
I have to put a pin in what you say, and that sentiment that your mom gave you, and I can see a lot of my friends have this idea of survival of the fittest and natural selection, and you're applying the wrong logic to this, because for over 100,000 years we've been a civilization and not a part of the animal kingdom per se. And evolution in that civilization is that everything is directed to protecting the weakest. That's what makes us civilized.
True.
We have laws, we have medicines, and we have structures from the feudal through to the democratic that are designed to protect the weakest. So now this coronavirus comes along, and all of us throw out willy-nilly. Well, it's the law of the jungle, man.
It's not willy-nilly.
It's natural.
That's the most terrifying sentence that I've got to put out there. But it doesn't make it untrue. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, and I know it sounds cold and harsh, but what you are saying supports what I'm saying. Because you're saying that we've survived for hundreds of thousands of years in terms of whatever we recorded, well, 2,000 years technically in terms of recorded history. But the human race has survived. There have been pandemics. We survived, and we will survive. But 100 years ago came a little flu that took out millions and millions and millions of human beings, and the human race moves forward. I can't be part of a fairy tale that allows me to believe, A, that I'm exempt, that I'm not going to be affected or impacted. But I also have to at some point go, if that's true, do I want to be part of the herd, or do I want to be straggling at the back? Because I believe that 50% of that battle is here. 50% of that battle is mental.
Are you happy with the what tends to be the global response from Dr. Mkhize to Fauci, which is, mask, distance, sanitize? Are you all for that?
I'm all for that, because we are doing what we can to avoid preventable deaths. We are in a situation where we are doing as much as we can do. What kills me, bruh, what kills me is you and I speak from such a position of privilege on this topic, because we're in our house. We naturally social distance. You know what I mean? We don't have to jump in a taxi that is now allowed 100% capacity. And if you ever look at, like, for me, when I track the numbers, I'm looking at Brazil closest, because from an economic point of view, their system is structured very similarly to ours in terms of the haves and the have-nots, and this massive divide in between. So am I horrified? Am I mortified? Yes. Am I devastated? This is the worst thing that's ever happened to humankind, in my opinion, as a global event. So I'm not trying to glorify this or say that it's right. I'm just trying to say that, it doesn't matter how I sugarcoat it or how I feel about it. It is what it is. So Fauci's stuff and the masks, the WHO stuff, all of that stuff only works if we're all doing it and if we're all able to do it. But dude, and the most interesting conversation I've had around this was, a guy said to me, my man, you grew up in El Dorado Park, you should know better. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, go to any kasi. You go to a kasi, leaving your house is dangerous every day. Walking past drug dealers on your way to the taxi every single day, you could die. You're living in a 4-room house with 12 people. There's no way you can. And a four room is not a 4-bedroom house, a 4-room. You know what I mean? If you're lucky. Other than that, you're living in a shack with 12 people. Social distancing is not an option for you. But also, the government is telling you that this thing, you might get infected. And if you get infected, it might kill you. You live in the face of death every single day. Now you're asking that brah to not jump on a taxi that is full to go and feed his family. You know what I mean? It's like we are suffering the consequences of years of inequality, of years of what capitalism has done to us. So for me, I'm not a fan of any of this, dude. My heart is broken. But personally, I've got to survive. That's survival instinct. Personally, the better I survive, the better I can help the people that depend on me survive. If I go down, we all go down.
You hit the nail on the head there with because you're talking to everyone knows I'm a closet case Marxist, and it's not to say I never say capitalism is bad, but unchecked capitalism I think is more destructive than this pandemic, and I think we're seeing that now. And do you see? And I'm watching all the news and I'm reading I'm waiting for the champion. I'm waiting for our AOC. I'm waiting for the champion of universal basic income, of a proper societal safety net for the next pandemic or whatever. And I'm not seeing it yet, unless you know someone who's presenting at this.
No. What I see is capitalists doing what capitalists do, finding opportunities to make even more money. I saw like big pharmaceutical Johnson & Johnson goes, guys, cool. We are developing a vaccine, and we could probably be responsible for 300 million individual little test tubes. So we'll do 300 million. That means somebody else has got to do the next. So they need to vaccinate 1 billion people on the planet for a vaccine to help. Then big pharmaceutical, instead of accelerating the process by sharing, and they have been sharing more so than they ever have, but only sharing after they've worked out the bottom line. And therein comes the issue. Then when you look historically, bro, you look at H1N1, you look at MERS, all of those vaccines were distributed to the countries that developed them first. So if I'm in Australia and I develop the vaccine, the rule from the government is going to be, we vaccinate at home first. Once we are vaccinated, then we will supply vaccines to whoever else needs them. So for me, like from a capitalist point of view, we are just in the beginning of a crazy struggle. Some are going to make even more money than they ever did, and some are going to end up in call centers.
This is what I love about comics talking backstage. People don't know this. How they ask, I'm sure they ask you all the time. Yes, you have such a jaw backstage. No, we are very serious people.
We solve the world's problems, bro.
Correct.
We solve the world's problems.
And you must know, back in the day when you were chemically assisted, yes, like I wish I'd written some of that stuff now.
Smart.
You know what I mean? And especially at 3 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning at ESP. That's when you... Do you know that the only narcotic, I don't know if you can call it a narcotic, I've ever taken is marijuana. I've never tried the other stuff, not even once. Only because I'm scared. No, only because I'm terrified I'm going to love it. I know myself. Imagine an ego drug in an ego. Sit down with Trevor Gumbi and I, and then...
No, I've sat down with both of you, and I know enough. I know more than enough. Thank you.
Okay, so here's the deal, right? I want to ask you, because here we are, we run the risk of talking philosophically and not about what we want. So I'll tell you what I want. I want a cap on maximum income. I don't care who you are. You can be Zuckerberg, Gates, Buffett. You could be the guy that comes up with the genius vaccine. You could be the guy that goes and mines that gold asteroid that Elon Musk is tracking now. That is 10 times the wealth of this planet in its entire history. I don't care who you are. You don't need more than, give it a number. Call it 100 million, 1 billion, 2 billion, 10 billion, 100 billion. After that, every single cent you make, I'm sorry, Marchana, but it goes back into this planet. I don't know how you can sit there and buy your 17th yacht when you know children die. 200 million children die every day because of a simple thing like sanitation, like Bill and Melinda Foundation has tried to deal with. So my point is, this is the
schools in South Africa not having water. It's, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
A simple
like
thing.
Even a toilet. Yeah.
So it's like, there's a part of me that wants to agree with you, but there's...
Hang on, let me finish.
Yes,
then,
okay.
So mine is a whole package, right? And I think if you can get enough leaders on board, you can eliminate poverty in one weekend, right? Yeah. So a cap on maximum income, right? So lekker, make your billion, and then the rest goes into schools, hospitals, roads, infrastructure, feeding schemes, blah, 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 ad nauseum. Yeah. And then the moment you are born, universal basic income for anyone, it's universal. So the things that are necessities to live on planet Earth in the 21st century, clothes, food, transport, access to technology, Internet. Education, all of these things should be a given, whether you're born in Bangladesh in the mountains or in Paris to Giselle Maxwell, Ghislaine, or whatever it is. Yeah. Actually, that was a bad name to use because that's another story for another day. But I don't care. Like half of 99% of the disparity is because of the location of where you were born. You were not, no human being was entitled. The Trump juniors were not entitled to the wealth and the clothes and the education they're not entitled to that.
You see, I use a process. My therapist taught me about an Escher. You know what an Escher is?
No.
So you know that classic diagram of the staircase where it's the never-ending staircase. It goes in a little square and it always just looks like. So you can sit for hours trying to figure it out, and you'll go mad because there is no way of figuring it out. So you got to identify those things in your life and in the world, and not waste your energy on the things that you cannot change. Because like you expressed a whole lot of emotion now. You proper like dumped a whole, I felt it. Like I could feel how passionate you are about this thing. Like
it kills me.
And then, but there's the logical, educated part of you knows that that is not a reality, and it can never be a reality. And the reason for that is tenfold. I mean, there's a capitalism, number one, but then the fact that we all are motivated by different things. So then the argument will be, but will people innovate at the rate? Will Elon Musk innovate at the rate he's innovating if the reward that drives him is taken away? Would Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all of these crazy people, that Amazon bra? For me, I go, Bezos, yeah. So for me, I go, I must only spend my energy and only get truly worked up about the things that I can actually change. But in order to make that, I must understand the things. So I get you and I'll back you up. Bezos is got, like, what is Amazon worth now? Hundreds of billions, whatever it is. I don't know.
Call it 360 billion.
So
keeping in mind that his ex-wife became an instant multi-billionaire just by leaving him.
Good move on her.
She worked really hard for those billions, hey?
She did, gagged and all. Listen, now, the thing that people don't speak about is, so people go, Bezos is a genius. Bezos is one of the greatest business people of our time. Bezos has done these amazing, amazing things. But what people don't go is, where does that money come from? Because money doesn't just appear. You know what I mean? Money doesn't just come from somewhere. So if you get a lot of money in your account today, that money came from somebody else's account. That's the way money works. So if Bezos has built this 100 and billion, where did that come from? So I go, nobody's talking about the little community shop that nobody goes to anymore because it's more convenient to shop on Amazon. Like, you think we are only getting the trend now? I was in Seattle, like the home of Amazon. They've got a 1 hour, whatever you want on Amazon delivered to your door within an hour, guaranteed. Then I go, that hour means I'm no longer going to support the brother that runs a shop in my neighborhood. I'm no longer going to support the garage shop, the shopping center. So all of these family run businesses, all of these little micro economies are being slaughtered by the giant. So that's why I get it. I'm just like, one guy is taking all the bucks. We see that, and well done to you, but nobody's shining a spotlight on the devastation and the trail and where the money used to be.
I hear what you're saying, but I feel there's two false premises there. Firstly, I'm not saying take the reward away from Bezos. You can make your billion, 10 billion, 100 billion. There's a cap there, right? There's a tiny, tiny, minuscule percentage of the world who is going to be motivated and achieve the things of the Gates and the Buffetts and the Musks they're not the exception to the rule, all right?
Yeah.
So that for me is a false premise. Leave that out. People will find whatever to motivate them. There have been plenty of people, from Louis Pasteur to Florence Nightingale, that have done absolutely groundbreaking, amazing stuff without any of that unnecessary capitalist motivation.
Because like I said, we all have different things that motivate us.
100%. So for me, taking that massive reward away under the possibility that we might lose invention is a false premise. So we could lose that one, right? The other one is, you're saying, why don't we have a look at investing in like the entrepreneurs and bring, we can inhibit technology so that we can go back to the mom and pop store.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying inhibit. I'm not saying inhibit. I'm pointing out.
Well, you have to.
I'm not making a suggestion as to how to change something.
So how do these people who've lost all their businesses make a living?
I'm trying to agree with you. Dude, this is, I mean, if I had the answer to that question, I would be, on the money. That's where my face would be. But I don't have the answers to the question. So I'm just trying to understand the logic. And even if you take away all of that stuff, you still have dick swinging. Dick swinging has been the biggest motivator of all time. Because if you take away what you're saying, what you're suggesting, then Monaco disappears. Then nobody can brag about what they have. And unfortunately, that's how humans are. You and I may not be that way. But fundamentally, human beings have and always will be. And this is the part that breaks my heart. I don't see how we can honestly break and change to where you want to be from where we are now. Like, I don't think it's...
But this brings me to that. This is why I'm having this conversation with you right now, because every time there has been an argument for universal basic income, social networking, not networking, social safety nets, maximum income, sort of like blocks, to the likes of, we rely on the charity of Jeff Bezos. Thank you very much for that 100 million that you gave. You made 300 million in the hour. We rely on the charity of personalities. And then you end up with someone like Mark Zuckerberg, who, because it'll affect his bottom line with his business model, won't censor hate speech. The
world is a disgusting place.
Yeah, and that's why I'm talking about. We're in a situation right now where the Rona has flattened us. And now we have an opportunity. In the past, we were like, we can't institute these massive global changes because it would bring the world to a stop. Well, guess what? The world's come to a stop. Let's make those changes.
But it hasn't come to a stop for all of us. Although we say we are all affected differently. And that for me is, so for me, I'm happy to have this conversation with you if you can point out a realistic solution. Shareholders, like, if you're going to start this conversation, I was like, why are shareholders only there for the dividends, but not there when people are queuing outside of the UIF? Why? Where are these shareholders now? These people that were taking these massive dividends, where are the shareholders when all of these bailouts are happening? You know what I mean? It's the world is here's a saying. Life is fair in that it is unfair to all of us. Breaks my heart.
You're that guy that writes all those fortune cookie things, aren't you?
I'm the one that eats the cookies.
There is a fantastic Chinese takeaway in Joburg South. The fortune cookie. And they're handwritten. It's you.
No, I'm just the guy that eats the cookies and reads all the things. That's where I get my knowledge.
Hold on a second. It's too hot in here. Take this up. Hold on.
I knew that question was going to get him. Look at him. One hard question, he starts taking his clothes off. It's like the old days. This is the Darren Maule I know. It's the thing that you are speaking about is so layered and full of horrible texture that I would rather speak about realistic solutions and how Darren and Jason can effect change, not in the world, but in their world. Show me change in your world. Show me change in your little sphere, your little circle of influence. You know what I mean? Then we onto something. But if something is not sustainable in your circle of influence, how is it going to be sustainable globally? Because greed and humans, same WhatsApp group, my friend.
Well, you see, Jason, this is the problem, right? It's the same as the vaccine. The vaccine can't work if less than 80% of people take it. So you can say, okay, cool, just this little village take the vaccine and we'll carry on with life. Like, nope. It has to be a global solution in order for the vaccine.
60% is your number, yeah. So for herd immunity to come into effect, 60%.
Where are you coming? I heard 80%. You see, can't even agree on what herd immunity.
Yeah, but you're reading those Durban papers. It's the last week's headline.
So you're right. If you were to say to me, Darren, okay, how have you affected change within your own sphere, right? So I can talk about my daughter is now 11 going on 12, and she's wrought with the complications. In actual fact, that age group are already having conversations about LGBTQI issues, about race issues. The Black Lives Matter thing is huge on TikTok. So I'm glad that we're already having those conversations, and I'm excited about this next generation. I really am. Yeah. So
did you see that Generation Z with the Trump march? That was my favorite moment of the whole 2020. Did you see what happened?
What happened?
TikTok ruined. So Trump.
They'd stand. Yeah.
100%. So Trump. The whole thing was that he was supposed to have it on Juneteenth. And then it was like, no, there was a big uproar, so he moved it, and then they went and booked all the tickets. And he was bragging about, we've set
up 1 million tickets,
stands outside. We've got so many people. We're going to start just by speaking to the people outside. Then they didn't even sell the big tier, which is the top tier of a stadium. And we know that we want to sell out stadiums. It was, and that's how powerful this generation is that
that's amazing.
TikTok made a fool of the most powerful man in the world, who doesn't have any problems making a fool of himself. But TikTok did that. It's hilarious that Facebook helped him win the presidency, and then TikTok is the one that is so the same. This is how powerful this social media and this new generation is going to be, right there.
Yeah,
it's like, you go and watch I don't know if you've seen the documentaries about Facebook and that subliminal stuff that they did to get people to vote, and then TikTok. So I think that the power lies, as it always had, with the youth. Always had.
I don't know about subliminal. I know they were using Cambridge Analytica, and they would glean your biggest fears, and then the message pushed your fear. So you made a decision for your presidency based on fear, and not because, I mean, the presidency 2016 shouldn't have been about shouldn't have been about race. The presidency should have been whose policy towards climate change are we going to take? Are we going to go? That's what it should have been. And now for the last 4 years, completely wasted, pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. We've taken so many steps backwards. The global decisions that need to be made for global solutions have been compromised by decades. But as you can see, I'm not very positive about the world right now.
No, I sense this. But I do want to say this. So
I need an intervention here. Can you see that's what this is?
No, I'll give you an intervention. What you must do is just laminate your payslip, and every time you feel cucked, just pick it up. Just remind yourself, I'm fine. And then you carry on. That's the only intervention you need. I watched a TED talk of, and he didn't call it communism, which is why I asked you.
Socialism.
It could be.
Marxism.
Either way. But this was the mechanics.
Maoism.
This was the mechanics.
Okay.
So I watched a TED talk of a Chinese politician. And he did a TED talk debating why their system is better than democracy when it comes to running a country. You watch that. And my favorite part was, he said, I'll give you a simple example. Democracy means anybody can become president. In our system, our president has been working for the government for 30 years. He started working at a municipality, worked his way up to municipal manager, from there up to mayor of a bigger space, which means he's got 30 years work experience in terms of running a country. You know what I mean? So when you talk about politics, capitalism shouldn't affect politics, because decisions should not be made based on profitability. Decisions in politics should be made based on human well-being and a government being able to best take care of their people. And what terrified me about that is what that bro was saying, is that if Darren Maule was popular enough, he can run for president in South Africa, which is the truth. So it's like working for a bank. Imagine that you at FNB, and there's a new blue-eyed boy in the call center. They have a vote now. We're gonna choose the CEO by democratic vote, and now we're gonna vote for the CEO. And an 18-year-old from the call center can now become the CEO. No experience. He can be placed there. So for me, some of the parts of the systems that I think we can change is, let's send all our politicians on one of those. I believe even a 3-week online business course will start changing things. Like even just a 3-week, just to understand just a UNISA profit, deficit, just a correspondence, something. You know what I mean? They don't need to violate dreams. Just a small thing, just so people can understand what's going on.
I do remember that TED talk, and I do remember being enamored by it. And I do remember thinking to myself, I wonder how many people can look beyond their fear, because basically the last 60 years has been, through mainstream movies.
I'm going to sit here for absolutely no reason, but carry on.
Okay. So people are like, they hear this word communism and they go, oh, it's the threat, it's the Russian or the Chinese, it's the anti-religion. They've actually somehow married communism to anti-religion, right? And so that's been the battle. However, communism is only the world's best workable system based on Marxist philosophies. It's the first foray. It's the first jaunt, experiment with this idea that all humans should have a piece of the piece of the wealth, a piece of the pie, a piece of the joy that this life has to offer. And South Africa, our government, in actual fact, bears more resemblance to a communist government than it does to certainly an American democratic and capitalist
government. And please explain why you say so. I'm very curious to know.
Comrade, because we have literally, I know there are other parties, but we literally, since our liberation, we've been a one party. And that is what separates us from other democracies mostly. And within that party, your loyalists are the cream that rise to the top. So if you have contributed and you toe the party line and you put party before people, is unfortunately the biggest demon of communism, is party before people. And then you get ahead. And you look at the people who can stay getting ahead, like Batabili Glamini, who clung to power as dead weight for so long. And 9 years to get Zuma out, when every single day he was in office, we lost hundreds of millions.
Dude.
So that is the downfall to it. So in the best to date model of a communist run country, you're hoping that your leader has a semblance of humanity and believes in the ideology, and then you're good. But if you put Trump in a communist system, it's even worse. It's not better.
It's much worse. So I think that you've actually solved the world's problems right there. We may not be able to effect change in political systems, but I think we can start effecting change in ourselves. And I've just been appealing to people through this time, just be a bit kinder. That's it, man. Be kind to yourself and be kind to everybody else. Yeah. And stop comparing. Like, just, you can't, man. And I also know, again, from a space of privilege. I have a job. I've got food in the fridge. I've got a wonderful wife who's happy. And I speak from a place of privilege, but I also believe that I created those things. I believe that there was a time when I had nothing in the world, had taken everything away from me, and I had a choice. Am I going to lay down and become the weaklings in the herd and be picked off? Or am I going to stand up and fight? And for me, stand up and fight, man. Dala what you must has been my saying for 2020. Dala what you must, because no one's going to dala the things for you. And if you don't dala what you must, you're going to get dalad. And if you don't know what getting dalad is, you don't want to be dalad. You sent me a whole lot of questions that I didn't read. Did you ask them?
No, it doesn't matter. I was going to ask you, like, what was your... can you remember your first kiss? What was the music that was playing around in the background?
Oh, it was Robin S. Robin S. I can't. Is it? Buy me love. Dang.
What was the last movie or TV series you cried in?
The last movie or TV series that I cried in.
Just had a.
Yes, I haven't. I can't remember. Why can't I remember?
7 pounds.
I'm not a big movie crier. 7 pounds funny, but it wasn't that. The movie wasn't funny. You referencing 7
No,
pounds.
I'm talking The Pursuit of Happiness. All the Will Smith ones.
Yeah, man. That Pursuit of Happiness. Bro, when he comes out of the building after he's got the job and he's in that typical New York street, which we don't see anymore, just 1,000 people going home, and his face there. Oh my God. The tears
and he's
dumped.
clapping like this, but he's got to keep it in because he's in public. But he just wants to scream. And then, again, this is going to be the hardest question you're asked. You're not going to be able to answer this. I'm going to put money on this. I'm going to put, you know what? That e-wallet. I will e-wallet you $100.
1,000.
1,000 rand.
No,
if you answer this one. Okay. You have to make a human sacrifice right now to end the Rona.
Yeah.
Who would it
Donald
be?
Trump.
That was crazy. You're like, no, but Jason, you must understand, you're willing the death of someone.
Yeah. I publicly, I was the guy that was like sneaky going, movies are bullshit. Why doesn't a sniper take out Mugabe? I was that guy. Just like, you know what I mean? Years ago. And I'm just like, I don't wish death on anybody. But I think if you look at the US's numbers, Trump is responsible for the loss of hundreds of thousands of deaths. So that's my answer on the record. If in a hypothetical situation, it was the purge and there were no consequences. And somebody said to me secretly, listen, if you press this button, Trump will vie but so will Rona. Oh my God, boy, I'm playing Smash Up.
I'm on that. Whack-a-mole.
Yeah, I'm making sure.
All right, you answered the question. I'll send 1,000 Rand to your e-wallet. I know you'll never be able to open it.
No, don't send it because it will go to the ether, because I'm not going to go to the bank. So don't. But the next time
you got no proof. Yeah.
The next time I see you, you'll drink a virgin something, and you'll buy me a beer.
100%.
Done deal.
You can take that one to the bank.
Done deal. Can I ask you a question? But
sure.
Like a serious one.
Okay.
Like a very serious one.
Shit.
I feel like you're the nicest you've ever been in your life. Like in terms of the nicest that I've been you, or known you rather, been since I've known you. The happiest. And I feel like at some point my theory is you are happy now because you are radio and you happen to do the other things. Happier now than when you were a comedian that did the other things. So there was a time when you were a comedian that did TV but now you're a radio guy that does all the things. So your identity shifted from comedian as your primary to radio DJ as your primary. Is there? Sorry, somebody tried to call me and my phone connected to the thing. Is it
linked?
Is it linked? Because I'm going. You were always nice, but you weren't lovely. And at the moment, bro, I got so much love for you. I got so much respect for your work ethic. I got so much respect for the fact that it just feels like you don't go half for anything. If you say yes, you clap 100% or nothing. Yeah. I have walked around Durban with you and felt like a photographer because you're fucking more famous than me there. Let me tell you for free, because your listeners love you like family. Like it's a different thing to what you were before from my perspective. Is that the truth?
I don't know if it was. I'm going to think about that. Like, what was the catalyst? Because it could be a couple of things. Like, you know what? I was flying up to Joburg to see my daughter 3 years ago because she was staying with mom, and now she's staying with me. So there's that, and it's wonderful having my child with me. A lot more responsibility, but I mean, I'm not going out and jolling and whatever anyway. So very nice to have your child with you. And I think something happened for me in radio about 3 or 4 years ago. So that would make it 5 years in, 4 or 5 years in, where I just submitted. I just went, stop trying to be better than this guy, and just, you know what, if it's going to work, it's going to work. And if it's not, then you'll do that other thing that you've always found to do. So you'll be MC or voice or acting or TV or film or theater. It doesn't matter. Just stop trying. And then I stopped trying, and it just got better. Just be. Stop trying. Just be.
Thank you, my brother. Be well and stay well and be safe. And stay lovely, Brad. Thank you for the work you're doing. You inspire us. You help us believe it's possible, and that's all we need. Salute.
You're inspiration too. I love you, my brother, and I'll speak to you soon.
Big love. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, brother. Bye.